Money doesn't seem to stretch as far anymore. The value that we put on the US dollar is changing ever so rapidly. For the entirety of my life, we've been the talk of the town as to how industrious and successful us Americans are here in this country. Well, have you ever been here or actually looked around? There's way more folks filling up their shopping carts with discounted fudge cakes in the lines at Walmart than there is young couples putting down deposits on homes and starting families. Now, it's easy to blame these issues on the population or generational curses, but in all reality, most are just trying to cope with the reality that is right in front of them. A system that seems to be rigged against them for the most part. Well, if you personally feel like you relate to anything discussed in today's video, or you simply like topics discussing the downfall of society and the struggling system that we're all facing right now, feel free to like, comment your thoughts and opinions below, and subscribe to see my daily uploads around here discussing topics just like this. And I want to start this video out giving a huge shout out to all my supporters of the channel, my Patreon supporters, my channel memberships, and everybody's rock with the content. You can check out all the links to all that stuff down below in the description. Those are some of the best ways to support me and the content around here. Now, let's begin today's shit show, shall we?
So how do we know that money isn't real in the United States? Is the fact that banks are open for like minimal hours. All right, like folks, it is impossible to go to a bank and get money. Like, yeah, today's MLK, so I cannot go into the bank and withdraw money. And then the ATM only allows me to pull out $500 per day. I have way more than $500 sitting in my bank account at this credit union. I should be able to pull out every single freaking cent that I have in my account. But that's what tells you that our money is not real and that we are entirely controlled by this BS system.
I've actually covered videos in the past of people trying to go in and get large sums of money, not even incredibly large, just like $5,000, $10,000 at a time for different things and different, conveniences. And it turns out that most banks don't have that much cash just sitting there at one time. A couple people have commented, why that is the case, but seems like the majority of the money, at least in today's time, in today's day and age, is all, electronic. It's all digital. It's all currency-based. It's a number on a screen that gets changed, and those dashes and zeros can just be changed at any sort of moment. Which me and my buddies were actually talking about how the people that get rich off these meme coins and trading, it's like, that's just money getting printed out of thin air. Where does that money come from? It's just being created. I know it's being taken from other people and all that, but, the people who get it, it's really just like money getting printed out of free air. So really, it's crazy to think about how everybody has a different perspective, a different reality, a different relationship with money.
They want everything digital. They want you to use your debit card. They want you to use your credit card. They don't want you to have physical cash. They want to be in complete control. Because we don't even have enough cash supply for how much cash really exists out there. And our government just continues to print money, print money, print money. The Federal Reserve is bullshit. Our economy is bullshit. Money's not real. And that's why as cool as crypto is, it's not physical. I'm sorry. And then putting it on the blockchain, so basically you want to...
Actually, at the last apartment that I moved into, or that I lived at for about 4 or 5 years, you could only pay your rent through what are they called? Cash, checks, receipts, money orders. So every single month I would have to go to Walmart or my bank to get money orders, and then I'd have to pay a few dollars to get the money orders because you can't actually pay cash at a lot of places. They don't even accept cash. I've actually seen videos of then eventually they changed into the electronic payment, and now everybody was just being paid through, wire transfers. But I've actually heard in different places, some stores have switched to only doing digital currency. People will come in trying to pay cash, and they won't accept it. How can you not accept a real valuable currency that is, accepted amongst the, government? Kind of crazy to think how eventually it's going to be completely controlled. This, the way they're changing all cars. They're changing all cars to electric cars. They can just shut the grid off and nobody can really kind of transport anymore. They can shut off the whole grid and your money just evaporates like that. The cash that you have in your safe, that doesn't even exist.
Tell every single person what transactions you've made. Nah. Cash. Bring back the gold standard.
People are broke, and now there's proof showing up in the numbers. Kellogg's reported an 8.6% drop in cereal sales. Crocs pulled its entire financial forecast. Heineken says people are drinking less. And even global giants like Nestle are seeing sales fall across the board. And what's scary about this, it's not about cutting luxuries. People are walking away from everyday items. Candy,
That's
snacks.
The thing, man. Nobody has the extra luxury to get those few checkout snacks at the checkout line no more. Nobody spends $3, $4, $5 here and there because that adds up over time, even over a little tiny bit of time. Now, obviously, nobody really cares, at least nobody with money cares, until it's affecting the shareholders, the investors, people that actually keep the business running. Now, back when I used to work at Target, they were doing the whole LGBT, they were doing the whole Pride Month, and they were really into that until it started affecting the sales, and then the investors told them, hey, you kind of got to cut that out. Now they don't really go so crazy with that type of movement no more. Also, I always knew it's just these companies pitch these things so they can try to sell these certain different demographics and get all of their business. None of these companies genuinely really care about these beliefs. I'm sure there are a few that are based around their beliefs, and I'm sure there are some that are very genuine, but the majority of them, when they market for these types of advertisements, it's fully for the audience, the community, to get the business, the money. It's always about profits, folks. If it's not bringing in the profits, the company's not going to do it. Think about Budweiser and their whole Dylan Mulvaney, the whole trans thing that definitely affected the sales. It brought a lot of spark and controversy, but it definitely showed a lot of different companies that maybe we should stray away from these type of political, nuanced social issue topics.
Fast food, takeout. Last Saturday, I went for lunch at a popular restaurant. Usually packed at noon, we expected a wait. Instead, we were just a handful of people there. Because consumers are cutting back hardest on items that bring joy. Chips, chocolate, going out to dinner. Not because they want to, because simply they don't have the fucking money. And companies know it. Forecasts are being pulled. Behind the scenes, they see the truth. Demand just isn't slowing. It's fucking collapsing. After 5 brutal years, Americans are barely hanging on, and now the administration slaps tariffs on top of it. It's like throwing gasoline on an already burning house. These families are one missed paycheck away from financial collapse. Americans aren't tightening belts anymore. They've run out of fucking notches.
Now, I know I can't...
And far too many folks can relate to this. Feel free to comment down below your current situation if you can relate to anything that's being discussed in this video so far, or maybe will be discussed throughout this video. And I'm in the same boat, I've kind of found myself looking around saying, these pay raises really aren't keeping up with the inflation. The cost of living's kind of just skyrocketing and keeps going up rapidly with really no control in sight. And with everything else going up alongside it, the hope is dwindling and we're living in a mess.
The only one that couldn't stand taking vacations. And no, it's not because of the time off, because, man, that's time with your family. That's time for you to relax,
folks, vacation time,
and let your conscience be free. It is because once you take that time off, and then when you get back to work, it's all that work that you have to do, all that stuff that piled up for you. I know I felt that way, and sometimes even taking the time off, I would even take calls just to lessen the blow when I come back.
Okay, if he's taking calls, he's probably working a certain type of job, but the most jobs I've had, once I call off, someone else should be picking up my slack. This isn't like school. Now, back in the day in high school, elementary school, middle school, all throughout my years of school, I didn't like to take days off or sick days because I don't have to make up the homework. Now, once I got to high school, I didn't really do much homework anyway. I did graduate and walk my class, so applaud and cheers to me. That's a really big deal. And me and my friend group, most of my friends didn't even graduate. But I kind of looked at homework that same way, at least elementary school, middle school, where if I take a day off, I'm going to have double the work the next day, especially the in-class work. But at your job, I don't know if that's necessarily how it should work. Are there not other employees that can do your tasks for you? Are you like designated to do these certain tasks and there's no one else that can do it or is successful to do it? I'm not exactly sure this man's line of work, but interesting to think that.
Talk about being emotionally attached, right? As quiet as kept, I actually got done feeling that way, so that's why I got into the online space. But it wasn't until I found this step-by-step process that literally showed me how to create an income online that things started to change. I love the fact that I can leverage automations, so if I actually step away from my business and I'm actually spending time with my family, having a good time, my business is actually working for me, generating income for me 24/7. So if you're sick,
and that's really why the majority of people are going to the whole online revenue, online endeavors. I mean, creating YouTube channels, TikToks, and all these sort of different social media things. In reality, I think everybody can definitely benefit from, but at the same time, aren't we all just kind of feeding the monster at hand? I mean, think about the people that run these social media companies. They're just in control of us, and they definitely have their own sense of censorship, just like the HR does at your office. So we're just kind of changing the monsters that we're working with.
Tired of feeling guilty about taking a vacation and you want to learn a simple step-by-step process to create an income online, something that where you can just take your time off and just relax and just potentially see income coming towards your business, then type blueprint in the comments. I'll be happy to send this over to you.
They told you Rome collapsed, but what if it didn't? What if it just rebranded and still rules the world? The Roman Empire never truly fell. It morphed into the Vatican, into maritime law, into Western banking. Latin became legalese. The Caesars became popes and bankers. And the empire, it went global. Washington, D.C., designed like Rome. Courtrooms, temples in disguise. The U.S. Capitol, literally named after Jupiter's temple, Capitoline Hill. You think you're free, but you're still under Rome's spell, just with different names, robes, and flags. This isn't history, it's infrastructure. And until you see how deep the empire runs, you're just another citizen of a ghost kingdom.
Now that's quite the deep thought there. I don't really touch into super deep dives of conspiracy theories on here. I do plan to maybe cover more of those topics in the future and definitely look out for that. But maybe we're all living in a type of history that we've been taught that's not fully true. Have you ever really questioned the truth? Have you ever really looked back on all the things you've been taught and you've learned and really thought to yourself, like, wow, nothing really adds up now that I know these other things. And if that's not true, what else isn't true? And if I can be brainwashed and think about that for so long, what do other people believe? And what do the majority, what does the mass population believe? And then it really makes you think it's like maybe there's something going on behind the scenes that we're not really too inclined to know about. Only the elite. For example, I'm watching so many TikToks about these underground cities. Apparently, the U.S. spent $21 trillion to build this crazy underground city that stretches across the whole country that only the elites and the rich can access. I guess that's what celebrities deal with when they do tours from place to place. I have heard about underground tunnels, especially in the place I'm from, in these big cities for like government reasons, politicians, the military and police. But at the same time, maybe it's a much wider thing than we really know about. I mean, how deep down in the ground do these buildings go? Maybe there's basements below basements below basements that we'll never have access to that are out there right below you. But either way, I would love to hear all you guys' thoughts, opinions regarding anything discussing any of the topics in today's video. Whether that's revolving around money, conspiracy theories, or other topics you'd like to see me cover in the future. Again, I want to give a huge shout out to everybody who supports my content around here. I've been going live a lot lately on my YouTube. I plan to go live a lot in the near future. Usually in the evenings is when you can catch me on there, but definitely look out for that. So I want to give a huge shout out to my Patreon supporters, my channel memberships, everybody who rocks the content. You can check all that stuff down below in the description. Some of those links are some of the best ways to support me and the content around here. I hope you enjoyed watching today. I hope to see you in the next one, and feel free to check out any of the other videos in my catalog. They're all kind of in the same type of realm of conversation topic videos, and I'll see you in the next one.